Hey man, this is Chris of PhoneCats. This video is just about Magic 2013 Duels of the Planeswalker and just about the Goblin deck and just about the cards in it. I'm going to talk about every single card that's in my deck, the cards that aren't in my deck, and how to play the Goblin deck. After this vid, scope out PhoneCats.com. You can buy a used iPad 2 for $325, and if you already have an iPad, get one of those cool Dodo cases for like 60 bucks. Barack Obama uses one of those. What a great factoid. Okay. We're going from low casting cost to high. Scorch, 1 mana it's an instant. It deals 2 damage to any creature or player. This must be in your deck. You can kill people and end games with this, or it's just like the perfect creature utility. Goblin Arsonist, 1 mana for a 1/1, and it's like this new school Mog Fanatic. Mog Fanatic you had to sacrifice so it wouldn't deal its damage in blocking situations, and then with this one, it's when it goes to the graveyard. For what it's worth, you can Goblin Grenade a Goblin Arsonist and it does 6 damage. Goblin Bushwhacker is 1 mana for a 1/1, but you really want to play this as 2 mana for a 2/1, and all your other goblins get Trample and +1/+0. It's a game breaker. Resist the urge to play it on your first turn. Goblin Fireslinger, another 1 mana for a 1/1. This one I think is a rare, and it's like a Tim, like a Prodigal Sorcerer, or whatever the red one is. You can tap it and deal 1 damage. It's only to players, but I don't know, you might have people wasting creature control just trying to take out this rare 1/1. Goblin Grenade, 1 mana for a sorcery, sacrifice a goblin, deal 5 damage. I love this card. You only start out with 20 life, and this takes away 1/4 of that. It's overpowered. Some people don't like Raging Goblin. It's 1 mana for a 1/1, and he has haste. It just really sets the pace for the game and for the whole deck. Opening with the Raging Goblin when your opponent just plays a land, it's just such a powerful, it makes me feel good. Warren Instigator, 2 mana for a 1/1 goblin with double strike. If you attack your opponent with this and he doesn't block, he hits once, you put a goblin into play. He hits again, you put another goblin into play. A lot of people don't know what's going to happen and it freaks them out. Goblin Pile Driver is another killer turn 2 card. 1 red, 1 colorless for a 1/2. Whenever it attacks, for each other attacking goblin, it gets +2/+0. It turns into a monster. People have to chump block it. It's a power card. They'll be wasting creature killer on it. Goblin War Driver, another good one. 2 mana for a 2/2, and it has Battle Cry. So whenever this attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0. Great with tokens, it adds up quick. People will waste stuff on it trying to kill it. It's an intimidator. Krenkos Command is a sorcery for 1 red, 1 colorless, and you put 2 1/1s into play. The white creature deck has something akin to that too, but Goblin one's powerful though. You can use some to chump block, keep them in play. It's just a good card. Okay, this weird Germ Palm Incinerator is 3 mana for a 2/1. I rarely cast it. You want to use this as creature control, and it's crazy. If you have 3 creatures, it does 3 damage, 4 goblins, 4 damage, and it cycles, so you draw a card. Goblin Chieftain must include 3 mana for a 2/2. It has haste, so it can attack that turn, and all other goblins that are in play or under your control get +1/+1. It's a must. Huge damage booster. Goblin Warchief is just as legit. Every other goblin you have gets haste, so it just speeds up the entire pace of the game, and they're cheaper to cast. I prefer the original for the +1/+1, but there's times when that haste and the 1 less colorless are going to save you. Rummaging Goblin, I play with 1 of these, and the only reason is because you can't decide how many lands you want in your deck. So if you're playing with a 61 or a 60 card deck, they're making you play with 25 lands, and that's the one card that I'm kind of wishy-washy about. There's a lot of cards I'm wishy-washy about. Here's Click Slither. This is this cool 4 mana bug that's a 3/3 with haste. You can sacrifice a goblin and give it +2/+2 until end of turn. It's fun, it has haste, it's a fast turn 4 creature, and the variable aspect of it makes your opponent think. Goblin Goon is 4 mana for a 6/6 with a catch. It can't attack unless you have more creatures, it can't block unless you have more creatures. Thankfully, we're playing Goblin with Krenkos Command and just popping out all those 1/1s. You're normally going to be in the advantage. Goblin Ringleader's cool. This is a rare 4 mana for a 2/2 with haste. When it comes into play, you look at the top 4 cards of your library, put the goblins in your hand. There's times when I just ended up drawing 3 cards. I haven't hit 4 yet, but it'll get crazy. Here's the game breaker. This is Krenkos. People will do anything they can to kill this because he gets out of control so fast. You can tap him and put X goblins into play for each goblin you have in control. If you have that one goblin that has haste already into play, and then you cast a turn 4 Krenkos, you can immediately start putting out those 1/1s. Reckless One, another killer, 4 mana for a haste, and it's star. Power and toughness equal to the number of goblins in play. So that goes for your opponent too, kind of crazy. And here's one of my biggest creatures. This is the Siege Gang Commander. 5 mana for a 3/3. When it comes into play, put 3 1/1s, and then you can pay 2, sacrifice a goblin, deal 2 damage anywhere. You cast that on turn 5, on turn 6 you can be dealing 3 damage, or 6 damage anywhere you want. I am playing with 2 copies of the Relentless Assault. There's times when it's a game breaker and it's just like you have more creatures than them, you're just swarming, Relentless Assault, bam. The rest of these are cards that aren't in my deck. Relentless Assault also stacks with the Goblin Pile Driver in a crazy way. I tapped out and skipped Goblin Balloon Brigade. I might throw it in. It's 1 mana for a 1/1. You can pay 1 to give it flying. I'm not wasting my time with artifact control. 1 mana for an instant that destroys target artifact. It's not diverse enough. Maybe if it did enchantments too, but that's not my name of the game with goblins. I'm going for those fast kills. Goblin Piker is, I don't know, just too mediocre for me to include. 2 mana for a 2/1, no abilities, no tricks. It's a common. It was something that I skipped over as soon as I unlocked the full deck, which I did pay for. I've bought them all. The rings in the Goblin deck are kind of funky. It's 2 mana, 1 to equip. It gives your creature haste, but a lot of them already have haste. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, it gets +1/+1. It could be kind of cool to bounce this around and beef up your goblins, but I just don't have that much extra mana for these fast kills. Arms Dealer is 3 mana for a 1/1 goblin, and you can pay 2, sacrifice a goblin, deal 4 damage, but it's only to creatures. But that's a chunk of change. I mean, it might save you killing angels and big green creatures. I haven't had a good use for it yet. Goblin Offensive is a late game spell. 3 mana and then X. Whatever X you pay, you put that many 1/1 goblins into play. It's a sorcery, so you can only cast it on your turn, but it can be a game ruiner, but it's really late game. Goblin Rough Rider is another meh card. It's 3 mana for a 3/2. It could get kind of pumpy with some like other +1/+1s and abilities, but I don't know, it seemed average. Here's another more geared towards the late game card. I think this is a rare. Lava Fume Invoker, 3 mana for a 2/2. You can pay 8 mana and creatures you control get +3/+0. So it's almost like this baby overrun that you can cast at any time. I didn't put in Squeak Goblin Nabob, and I kind of wish I did. He's so trolly. It's 3 mana for a 1/1, and every time it's your upkeep, you can take him from your graveyard to your hand. There's a couple fun, pseudo-cute discard mechanics or sacrifice mechanics that you can do, but that's not the Goblin deck I'm playing. Here's another one, Thunder Thrash Elder, 3 mana for a 1/1, and it has Devour, to where you can sacrifice creatures to put +1/+1s on it. Another meh, in my opinion. Battle Rattle Shaman's 4 mana for a 2/2. He's a goblin, and then at the beginning of combat on your turn, you can give any creature +2/+0. It's kind of cool. I mean, you can do it on your own creature every time, and then just look at him as a 4/2, or cast it on something else strategic. I don't know. Goblin Fire Fiend's another funky one. 4 mana for a 1/1 with haste. It has to be blocked. Yeah, your opponent has to block it no matter what, but it has fire breathing and you can pump it up. What a weirdo. This Lowland Oaf is another one that I ditched as soon as I could. 4 mana for a 3/3. You can tap him and give a goblin flying +1/+0, and then it dies at the beginning of the next end step. So weird. You just turn your goblins into like these chump blocking suicide, barely pumped up ones. Mind Moil's kinda tempting. It's 5 mana for an enchantment. Every time you cast a spell, put your hand on the bottom of your library and draw that many cards. So you can constantly play the cream of the crop cards, but I don't know. It makes me hold on to lands. It's weird. Here's this crazy Voracious Dragon, 5 mana for a 4/4 flyer, Devour 1, so it gets +1 for the creatures that you sacrifice, and then it deals damage for the amount of goblins that you sacrifice. So it could be kind of like this suicide card. Chancellor of the Forge is one of the last ones. We're getting close to the end. 7 mana for I think it's a 5/3 or a 5/4. And if you have this in your hand at the very beginning, you put a 1/1 with haste into play. And when it comes into play, the main card on like turn 8 or whatever, you put a whole bunch of goblins for each creature you have. Here's the last one, Goblin Dynamo. Really funky. That much mana, and you can tap them to deal 1 damage anywhere you want, or you can pay X and sacrifice and tap them and do like a 1-time fireball. Too much mana, not in my Goblin deck. And this was a really long video. See you on Magic 2013 Duels of the Planeswalker!